You are listening to the USDN on the DSPN.
It's a trap!
What is up, everybody? It's the chairman of the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. And in every town, there's a dangerous darkness people pretend not to see. A walkway they don't walk down. A story they're too afraid to hear. But sometimes a storyteller shows up who's willing to drag that story into the light. Kicking, screaming, and free running off every wall in sight. Tonight, that storyteller is Snake, the UK writer behind Grinding Against The Marrow, a brutal, poetic, street-level character drama published by Markosia and praised for its raw honesty and kinetic narrative energy. The council is in session, and Snake, welcome to the United States Department of Nerds.
Thanks, dude. Cool. Awesome. Good to be here.
So, for the people at home, who is Snake and where did your creative journey begin?
Yeah, so I'm from the UK. I've always written. I worked in the film industry for a bit of time, went to film school, stuff like that. I worked at the BBC for a bit of time as a PA, also then as a prop man on Kick-Ass and Black Mirror season 2. But, you know, I wanted to tell my own stories. Yeah,
they couldn't get you on Doctor Who?
No. But wanted to tell my own stories. And, like, I was a script reader for a bit of time as well. But then that was really good because it was breaking down stories. So, you know, if you want to be a storyteller, it's a really great landscape to explore story. Mm-hmm. But then so I've always been a storyteller. And then during lockdown, I'd always read. I'd read comics since I was a kid, and I was just like, I'm going to start making them. Why not? And fell in love with the medium. Stopped wanting to be a playwright. Stopped wanting to be a screenwriter. Stopped wanting to work in the film industry, and was just like, I want to make comics because the collaboration is so pure and brilliant, and the medium is so good. And I enjoy the process of writing a little bit more. Each storytelling medium is slightly different, and I enjoy the way you tell comics with an artist. So yeah, just been trying to make comics, and this one managed to get published. And so yeah, that's me at the minute, and I'm just trying to get more things published while I'm doing a day job.
Did you invite somebody to the show?
No, I don't think so.
Does somebody else have access to your account?
Don't think so, no.
Because somebody just popped into my stream. A jock?
No, I don't know.
No idea who it was. It was really weird. Like, nobody has access to this link unless it was shared. That was just weird. So I'm thinking it might have been somebody on the network who accidentally clicked into my podcast while it was live, which is wild. But okay, let's keep going.
No. Or anything like that.
Like, did you invite your artist or something?
No, I did ask him. I did a couple of other interviews, and I asked him, and he was like, "No, that's not me."
It's crazy because a lot of artists are that way. It took me months of coordinating with the writers of Shock-Headed Peter to convince Sabe from Italy to come on the podcast to talk about his artwork on Shock-Headed Peter. And it was like, And once he was on, it was an amazing show. It was so fun. And he was like, "Oh, my English." I'm like, "Dude, your English is literally perfect. I don't know what you're complaining about. Yeah, you have the thick Italian accent, but I'm like, dude, you're good, man." I'm like, and his work is freaking brilliant as well. But so what was that spark for Grinding Against the Marrow? Was it a character, a theme, or maybe a moment in your own life that kind of sparked this idea?
Well, it was more a kind of, it was less of a kind of creative input. The idea was that I didn't feel like I had a big enough fan base, and I wanted to kind of get my name more out there. I'd made a few short comics, a few kind of like issue-long comics. I was going to get them published. Problem with the publishers, things happened.
Yeah.
I wanted to get myself more out there. So my initial idea was to make a monthly ongoing web series, web comic, a vertical web series. And Grinding Against the Marrow is released every month on Tapas, Webtoons, and Global Comics.
So for anybody wondering, I did link the Webtoons link to the description of this video. It will also be linked to the video when I re-release it on all the streaming networks, and as well when I re-release on YouTube Live or YouTube again. So the link is there if you want to read the weekly or monthly comic that he does about grinding with the marrow, or grinding. Oh, or where am I? Grinding against the marrow. I'll get it out there. It's grinding on just sounds like a skateboard thing, but this is about parkour. I apologize for that.
I at first I wanted to release it in black and white, and so it's you know, it's free, it's black and white, and then I got picked up by my publisher, and I also, you know, you can buy it on Amazon or Comixology, and also Drive Through Comics in color. So, you know, you can have a little taster, see if you like it, and then if you really like it, you can get it, and it's going to be published like in print next year as a graphic novel. But but you know, it's just to kind of drum up that kind of, it was just trying to get a buzz going, really. And then sort of the ideas for it, well, I want to do something kind of gritty and street dramery and so social realist, kind of like, I mean, I'm not specific to any set genre, but for this one, I wanted to do that. I also wanted to marry two things that I'm very interested by, which is A, parkour, and B, homelessness. You know, sometimes at Christmas, I will commit my time to helping people who are homeless on the street at Christmas, things like that. I think it's, you know, a terrible thing. Anyone can have it happen to them. You're only like 6 degrees of separation from being homeless if you know, something bad happens. So I want to do that. And then the character, I just, you know, I'm not Muslim and I don't really have any friends who are Muslim.
That's actually where we're going next, is your character of Soma. Am I saying that right? Soma?
Yeah.
So she is a homeless, ex-junkie Muslim woman who is trying to survive the hostility of her hometown. But she's razor sharp, very resilient, and she's dangerous in a way that people do not expect her to be. So what inspired her? Was it just like you were saying?
You know, it's always interesting to go for underdogs, you know, instead of like having like a soldier or someone like that, to have an underdog. So like a homeless person, I'm always very interested by that. So I'm interested by that struggle to, so, you know, just she's trying to get out of her hometown, and she's having all these obstacles stopping her, from, you know, corrupt cops, street hooligans on the street dressed in Halloween. It's Halloween. And so, and then, you know, it's not about a character being Muslim. She just so happens to be Muslim as well. I just thought it would be kind of interesting to, you know, that I always find the kind of whole scarf and the hijab scarf really interesting. So I wanted to change and kind of make the Muslim look cool. So she kind of looks like a ninja.
Yeah, so I would have never realized that she was Muslim unless you had told me when you sent me the email requesting to come on the show. I just would have thought it was just a really cool, like, it's cold in October, you know, and she's just got a face covering to keep herself warm. That's what I would have thought. Because the way you designed it It doesn't look like a hijab,
Mm.
per se.
Yeah.
So it's very unique in that case.
I just wanted to kind of, you know, um, try something new with the association of a Muslim and put her in that kind of. So she, in my way, in my understanding, she's kind of like a a silent type, Clint Eastwood type. Very few words, and
Mhm.
it was also so a big inspiration for this comic. I read Rick Remender's A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, which is
So good. He's
so
so
good,
good.
so good and so minimal with dialogue, and it's
Mhm.
just panel to panel action, and it just forces you to look at the panels more so. And I wanted that. I took that and wanted to kind of use that, and like
Yeah.
so no caption. I was like, I'm not putting any captions in it, and and it's going to be kind of minimalist dialogue, and I need to find an artist that really kind of is able to portray the actions I'm doing, that panel to panel kinetic energy.
Mhm.
But then also I found because I'm a spoken word artist, I do a lot of open mics and things like that, and I write a lot of poetry. I also kind of am interested in blending mediums together, and I thought
Mhm.
there was a really good opportunity to maybe have her be a poet and
Yeah.
use this other talent, this other interest I have in writing, and put it into the comic. So at the same time, you have this window into the character's soul. So she's running around, she's jumping off walls, things like that. But then you have these quiet, somber moments where she's just writing in a journal about her thoughts, and you get clues to the backstory, to her
Yeah.
human being as a person. I thought that would work and sort of balance out that sort of
No, it was really cool. I enjoyed that blend that you did within this comic because again, there's not a lot of words outside of the poetry being spoken. But with you and your artist, the way y'all collaborated on this, the action in the book, you really don't need a lot of words to understand what is going on in the story. So that was executed brilliantly
Thank
on
you.
the comic. So big props to both of y'all on that because it's really cool. There's like one page, I think, where it's just poetry and her writing her poetry. And I thought that was really cool that was just like, she had a second to catch her breath. And the one thing she thought to do was pull out her notebook and write down her thoughts.
And it progresses as well. What I really quite like to do is, as well as the story progressing, you have her writing this poem.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
she's like later on, she continues trying to write it. And then during the dark night of the soul, the bad moment, the bit when everything's pushing down on her in the late second act, then you've got her just getting in mad and crunching up the poem, and then finally at the end you'll have sort of like her finishing the poem, and you'll see that. I don't want to ruin it, but I'm not ruin it, but so it progresses with her mental state and the story as well.
I like that and the way it's done. So this town of Marrow, it feels very much alive. Was this place, is it based on a real place or maybe a blend of experiences that you've had in certain places?
Yeah, so me and my mates growing up, we're from a small town in the middle of England, and people born there, they die there, racist, small-minded. Me and my mates, we would just get drunk every weekend and just mess around and whatever, and we're always like waiting to leave there. So a lot of that kind of that resentment towards the town is sort of that's where that comes from. It was quite nice to get that out a little bit.
I grew up in a place similar to that, and I drove through many places like that here in the US, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And I felt a little bit of what she was going through just from my own experiences and growing up in places I've traveled throughout the years. So I was kind of like, man, there's a Marrow everywhere. There's one in every county or parish or what have you,
But as you keep reading the comic, you'll kind of see, and I'll send you like as the issues come out, I'll send you the issues just so you can keep up to date. But it's also like it's not really the town stopping her; it's actually herself potentially. She's and it gets heavier into that as the story progresses. We see that she's got I base this on myself quite a bit. I used to have a really bad temper, and I'm sort of dealing with that quite differently now. but a temper towards myself, if anything, a self-deprecating temper.
Yeah.
So I use that element in Soma's character. She's just got this fiery, absolute disdain for the town. She almost wants to punish it, if anything, you know. So
Oh yeah. You do get a sense that she has some anger toward the town. So it is, and she did it in more ways. Like, she didn't really have to say it. It was her actions and her
absolutely
the way she did everything. So you could definitely tell. So one of the big things that stands out in this comic book is the choreography, the parkour running, the movement, the way action flows. Do you have a background in that type of stuff, or is this just a storytelling choice for Soma?
it's just a storytelling choice. I've never really done it. I've just been interested, and I used to watch it a lot. Like, me and my friends, we we'd put some parkour on, put some drum and bass on, and just watch it for hours and just chill and hang out and drink and whatever. And it's props, to be honest, to my artist, Mauro DeFalco. He, it was really important when I started this project to find an artist that was going to be able to execute the action and the movement, because you're telling, I'm not telling my story with my words, because I'm using minimal dialogue. It really needed to work.
Yeah, he nailed it, dude.
Yeah,
he definitely nailed it, because it does look like, I'm trying to think. I think there was a. You're familiar with the Misfits, right?
Yeah.
The TV series.
Oh yeah.
I want to say there's a few episodes of the Misfits where you see one of the characters doing parkour style running through the city, and that was a little bit of what I kind of like. I just go back to that show a lot because it's one of my favorite shows to come out of the UK, and I thought it deserved more love. But hey, that's just my opinion of a guy looking in from the outside. But it was one of my favorite things about that. And anytime I see, because you don't see parkour often,
no,
at least not where I live. It's just not something that we see. So it was really cool to see it in a comic book and being executed so well, and that's hard to do. Movement is hard to do in a comic book, and to make it look realistic and look cool. So shout out to your artist for making that look cool and making it look realistic, like it was like you were kind of like get your heart beating a little bit faster, because you're like, oh man, she's gonna hit this jump, or so it was definitely one of those cool things.
I think sort of because obviously when you're making any kind of comic, you look to references and things like that. And I was like, oh man, I can't think. I thought of Mark Miller's 0 miles per hour, that comic. There's a bit further, but then, and I couldn't think of anything. And then someone was like, well, I was chatting to someone online, and they were like, Daredevil, man. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh yeah, of course, that's like the
excellent. Yeah.
Look at a lot of Alex Maleev's drawings for the Brian Bendis run, which I love, because that's it's just awesome.
Shout out to Mark Miller, man. You brought him up. We're big fans here of Mark Miller's work. I know he's currently off doing some bigger projects right now, and hopefully he'll come back to the indie scene here before long.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that I found that him trying to make his own universe was a bit contrived. I didn't particularly like that, but I do think he's made some incredible comics. Wanted is amazing. Star, I can't remember what it's called, Star something or other.
I think I know which one you're talking about. And then I know he had Magic Order, which was really amazing.
And Kick-Ass. I mean, even Kick-Ass is. I mean, I actually like
Kick-Ass is phenomenal.
I like the comic more than the film, to be honest.
You and me both. Yeah, I'm with you with that one. And then he recently did Vatican City, which I think he cut short to go work on the DC project that he's working on. And I was just like, dude, this had so much potential. And I don't know if it was him, Dark Horse, or like, hey, I need to wrap up what I'm doing so I can go do this over here, because this requires my 100% attention. So
I listened to a really interesting interview between him and Garth Ennis, and they're just chatting. They're just having a chat, because they kind of they come up together at the same kind of time, and it was just a really nice chat between them going through.
I think Garth Ennis was a few years before him, like a lot of years before him. I think there's like a 15 or 20-year age difference there.
Okay, but you know what I mean, like, but at their heights, they were kind of.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
you're probably right. I think he was on the scene way before, like doing Hitman and stuff like that.
yeah. And Garth Ennis is another one. Like, shout out to him. He's phenomenal.
Well, he's the reason I make comics.
Yeah,
and
dude.
You won't believe this as well.
What's like? What was the one Garth Ennis like that was like, this is my dude?
Publisher. I'm sorry, Preacher. Like Preacher is my favorite thing of all time. Of
Perfect
any
answer.
story.
Did you watch the TV series?
No, because the thing is, right, you can't make a TV series and I'm going to be happy because it's my favorite thing on the planet.
So I will be honest with you right now. It follows the comic book as closely as TV would allow it to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But you still got the entire story. And, you know, for those who don't know, in Preacher, God is a dick. All right.
Yeah.
Like he in the book, he is just a pure, unadulterated asshole of a human, like, well, not human being, but entity. And throughout the Preacher series, different entities have been God, because God just says, you know what, I'm just going to go chill on earth and do whatever the hell I want, leave heaven and hell to do as they will. Which is like kind of like one of those, it's not the primary story. The primary story, of course, is about Preacher, but it's just such a good series. If you could get the omnibuses or the trade paperbacks or what have you, do yourselves a favor, get up to date on Preacher. It was a phenomenal series by Garth Ennis. And don't let Ass Face fool you, because the dude is, he does okay for himself despite everything that's happened to him.
But it was also, I went to a comic convention, Thought Bubble, which is like the biggest kind of comic convention.
I had our friend Bruno Caterina was there, so I see he wrote a really nice write-up on Thought Bubble. So,
but yeah, I was selling this year for the first time. I was selling my comics there, and Garth Ennis was there, and so I went up to him and I brought, you know, so I would have loved to have brought all my Punisher Max comics, but instead I couldn't do that. So, you know, I brought Punisher Born because I've wanted that signed. I brought a couple of like Preacher comics, and I come up to him and I perform a spoken word piece to him about how much Preacher means to me. And then I give him some of my comics and I say goodbye to him, whatever and stuff. And he seemed pretty impressed by my spoken word.
You got it signed though, right?
I got it signed. But then 2 days later, he emails me back and says, I really liked your comics. They're amazing. You're a really good writer. And I was like,
dude, that's amazing.
So yeah, I got his email. And like,
I would have it printed out in a frame. And anytime I come on another podcast, I'd be like, Garth Ennis said my shit was cool. And I would just point to it, be like, Garth Ennis liked my stuff.
Now I've got his email. I'm every time I publish something, I'm just going to send it over to him, just to let him have a read, you know? And it was just really nice. He was just a really nice guy as well. He was really open and chilled.
It's one of those where people always say don't meet your heroes, but sometimes you do meet your hero, and your hero ends up just being a really cool, legit dude. Because that's the way he always came off to me. Anytime I've seen him in interviews and stuff like that, he's just a dude. You know, really, he got lucky
but really tall.
He's a really tall dude. Yeah.
You don't, you know, when you look at someone and they're sitting down, whatever, you don't think it. But I was like, wow, he's pretty big, tall guy, man. I was like quite surprised.
No, and I know we're completely off topic right now, but Garth Ennis is that dude, and he's, to me, there's very little stuff that he's done where people can go, oh, I didn't like that. Like, did you read it? You know, I'm like, it's Garth Ennis we're talking about. Did you actually read that? Well, I had
a really interesting thing. So I bought the first boys comic when I went to university at 21, and then it was with me for 7 years later because I was picking up each one. So that to me says comics are such an interesting thing, especially if you pick up singles, that they can be with you through your life for such a long period in time. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. 7 years later, it finished, and I was like, wow.
What'd you think about the ending? We're not going to give it away because they're about to enter the final season of The Boys, but what'd you think about the ending?
I really like it. I think it. I reread The Boys recently, and when I first read it, I thought it was amazing, incredible. And then I reread it, and I was like, it lulls a little bit in the middle with the comics. But I do like. I like the relationship and the ending between Huey and Butcher. I think that's really strong. I think that's one of the best things about it. I don't know what they can do in the TV show, because obviously they'll probably.
I'm hoping I'm hoping they don't, because I love the ending.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only 2 people left alive. 2. And that's the way it should be. And I don't think it's one of those endings to me in comic book form that you don't fuck with it. That one is perfect.
But I heard they already have in a way.
I've heard the same thing, and I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping it's one of those where they feed you a line of bullshit. We're going to actually get the ending from the comic book.
Yeah.
Because the ending from the comic book to me is just so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And going into it, when it come out and it started, and I'm like, I know how this ends. I'm like, and I know they changed a lot of stuff around. There's characters that were men in the comic book that are women on the show, and vice versa. None of that bothered me, because the story was still pretty much there and intact. The character is the character. No matter who played the character, they still match what they were in the comic book for the most part. So it didn't really bother me as much. But the ending would probably bother me a lot more if it doesn't match the comic book.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk a little bit about Markosia. So this was your first published book. It happened to be Markosia, who we're familiar with here because Mike Grace and Zip has been on the show before, and they do his publishing for him on Zip, which, oh, by the way, is a black and gray comic book. There's no color in it. Beautiful, bright colors on the covers, but the actual book itself is done in black and gray scale, which looks phenomenal because it takes a phenomenal artist to make black and gray line work look good. And his artist for that book does a phenomenal job. So we're very familiar with Markosia here. So how did that project find its home with them?
Sure. The usual thing, you know, me and Morrow were releasing the comic monthly, and then it got to a certain point where got to about episode 4 or 5. So the first issue, because basically you can break the comic is a 4-issue miniseries. I mean, it's broken up online with vertical scrolling comics. Each episode is about 5 pages, but but collected, each comic is sort of 4 issues, 24 pages. And so I sent stuff out. I sent it out to all the publishing companies, Image, this, that, whatever. And I'd sent to Markosia before, and this time, Harry was interested. He was so just sort of, and he was like, if you're looking to make any money from this is not going to be. I was like, dude, I want my stories out. I want people to read my stuff. I'm not looking for that. And they've been good. They've been good. I mean, I've had mixed things from publishers. I've had a quite rough run with publishers, like the most unprofessional publishers you ever heard with another comic.
I've heard rumors of that from many of people, and there's some, when they send you the rejection, they're very polite and very nice about it. And I've heard there's some that are just out there that are just flat out dickheads about it. Like, no, your stuff is shit. Bye.
Not even, man. I mean, this is literally us signing a contract, me working for them, and then literally them telling me that we need the comic in 2 months before the deadline. So I'm working towards that. And then suddenly, out of the blue, 4 months before, they go, we need the cover now. I'm like, you didn't tell me that. Yeah, but we need the cover now. I did tell you that. I checked my emails.
Jeez.
They did not tell me that. So I had to quickly rummage for it and get a cover. And by the end of it, I just became a petulant child because I was so angry at what they kept doing, making me jump through these poles. I just we separated. I had enough. You know what I mean? It's just not worth.
Dude, that's horrible, man. You can't do that to people.
Yeah.
Like,
and then another publisher became bankrupt. It was a smaller publisher, so it's been a bit of a rocky road. But with Markosia, there's a security there, and they're good.
I mean, they have a very nice lineup. So for anybody interested in seeing what else they have out there beside Grinding Against The Marrow from Snake here and Zip from Mike's Grace, go over and check them out on Instagram. They do have a very nice lineup, and I think they have a little bit of everything over there that could, you know, if you're interested in comics, want to read something, they may have what you're looking for because they do have a very nice lineup. So
it was also the case where, so as soon as like I got published, Morrow just like sent me a page because it was going to just be in black and white. The whole comic was just going to be in black and white.
Yeah.
And he sent me the first page in color, and I kind of looked at it and just went, oh.
Yeah.
You know what?
This is one of those books though where color looks so good on it.
Yeah.
Especially because the town and the way how gritty it is. You want that grittiness to show through, and you could have missed that if it was in black and white.
And then also his partner, who's also like a comic book artist, she was taking interest, reading the comic online, you know, quite a bit. And she just messaged us one time and said, like, I'd love to do a cover for you. Just because I just want to do a free cover for you because, you know, I'm really enjoying reading the series.
Valentina, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. That was actually like part of the next question. So I'll throw that name out there just to get it out there now. So
no problem. Yeah. So yeah, and then she did it, and I looked at it and was just like, oh, I'm gonna have to pay you to do all the covers, to be honest. And I was fine with that, to be honest, because you know he's trying to focus on the interior artwork, so it took a little bit of pressure off.
Yeah. From and that's Mauro de Falco, right? Who's doing the interiors.
Yeah. And our relationship, our work relationship has been great. It's the best one I've ever had with an artist. But it was interesting how he came about, because originally I had a different artist, and his style was a bit more stylized. So it would have been a different comic book. It would have been a different look to the comic. But I paid him, you know, for the pages, and I'd given him a deadline, and then 2 weeks passed by. I messaged him, heard nothing back, and then like 2 weeks later, he was like, "Oh, here you go, I've done this," and I was like, I was like, dude, I don't wish you any negativity, but I cannot work this way, because I knew this project was going to be an ongoing project.
Yeah. And it's also one of those where if they show who they are up front like that, it makes you less willing, and it also makes it easier just to cut it right there on the spot, because you're on a deadline. So therefore, you have to put him on the deadline, and those two things have to match up. And if he's just like laps of days ago about his deadlines, then it's just not good business.
No, and you know, I mean, when you're doing a webcomic as well, you've got readers who are waiting for it on that specific day.
How often does the webtoon drop?
Every month on the 7th.
Okay.
This month was the first time we were a little bit late by a couple of days, so I did have to apologize to people. Morrow was trying something a bit more extensive, a lot more detail. Also, in that episode, more pages. We had a few more pages.
Oh, nice. So it was worth the wait, you know.
Yeah, you know, and I was messing with lettering as well, so it was just. But you know, sent a little message out at the bottom of the webtoon, just saying sorry, apologies for this. But I think it's a pretty good episode, because Soma kicks the shit. Sorry, am I allowed to?
No. You can say shit. I mean, I've been saying dick for like the whole episode.
Soma kicks the shit out of the town, put it that way. Her rage bubbles up, and it's pretty good.
Nice. I like it, man. She deserves to get that out there. Are there any moments within the art of Morrow, or even the covers of Valentina, that surprised you, and like you received a page or something? I know you just gave us your reaction to the cover that Valentina done for you, but was there a page that Morrow done where you got it and you were like, holy shit, dude, I didn't expect you to go this hard on this?
That is the best thing in the world. That's the reason why I make comics. Because like when you give someone a script and they come back to you with pages, and it's always the best part of my day. Or I bet for any comic creator, best part of the day is when an artist comes back to you with pages, and it's better than what you thought. And you're like, oh yeah, I mean, there's been multiple occasions when that's happened. This new one, there's a bit when Soma just, I don't want to ruin it, but like there's
don't ruin it.
Yeah, there's a hero shot of Soma with fire behind her, and I was just I was trying to show her I was trying to show him some reference pictures of the crow with the fire behind, and he totally kind of did it. He totally made it his own thing. And I was, so
I always enjoy when artists do that, and anytime I have a lot of writers on here, I also always open the door. It's for creatives for comic books, whether you're a writer, an artist, lettering, colors, we want you to come on the show and tell us about your work and show us your work and that kind of stuff. So it's one of those where I've talked to Sabe. Francisco Nilo is also very close to me, and he works on the Vitellarium series, and it's always fun talking to them and how much they appreciate when the writer just says, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Do you, especially for like Francisco, who's he's working with Nick to take the book Vitellarium and make it into a comic book. So they're breaking it out like chapters by chapters and turning it into a comic book. So he's had a lot of character design and that kind of stuff. So it's been really cool, like seeing his work in that format and how much creative freedom that, when writers give an artist creative freedom to make something their own, you're going to get better products at the end of the day. And every single one of them always appreciate that about writers when they go, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Here you go, make it yours from the art perspective. So,
I mean, at the top of my scripts, always, I put a little disclosure. Obviously, like if at any point when reading the script, you feel that you can do something better and make the panels flow better, make the story work better, then do it.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, do it, try it out, whatever. All that matters to me, ignore ego. All that matters to me is telling the story the best way possible. Because, you just have to. It's
putting your trust in the artist to do what is best for the product that you're working on. And I know some so for Shock-Headed Peter, the writing team over there, they literally made a Bible for Sabe. It was literally everything they're looking for the book. Like, hey, we want to see the sun from this direction, hitting the character this way. And Sabe is one of those artists where just give him the details and he makes it work, Or if it doesn't work after he's done it, he comes back and says, hey, this doesn't work. How about this? I think this looks better than what you had in there. And they were like, dude, yeah, no, you were right on that one. Let's go with that. So they give him creative freedom, but they also gave him like this nice, beautiful book of like, hey, here's what we're doing, which is really cool.
I think the same thing happened with Scott Snyder when he was working with Greg Capullo. Like Greg was just like, no, you need to calm down and relax a little bit more on your writing. I mean, don't get me wrong, like Scott Snyder's a great teacher and he is a really good writer.
Dude, absolute Batman, man. It's probably the number one comic book in the country right now.
Yeah. But like he had to alter his way, his workflow, because that's just the way Greg needs a little bit more, freedom to,
Dude, I love Capullo, and I'll show you. That is the Batman spawn from Capullo and McFarlane. Yeah. That's the vinyl poster that all the comic shops got. Wow. I was able to get my hands on that because I love Capullo. And I love McFarlane as well, obviously, but Capullo's Batman is probably my favorite Batman. So, especially because it gave us like Devil Dog or War Dog, whatever the first Batman versus Spawn was, where he split Spawn down the middle with the Batarang.
Mm.
And then McFarlane liked that look so much that he just stitched Spawn's face up, and that was in the comic book for like years.
I remember like the batarang in Spawn's face. I remember
Yep.
reading the comic as a kid. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. And that's the second run of Batman Spawn, which was really phenomenal. And but yeah, I'm a huge fan of Capullo. And if you're not a fan of Capullo, then I don't know what y'all are doing out there. He does phenomenal work.
Yeah.
So Grinding Against the Marrow isn't afraid to talk about homelessness, addiction, prejudice, and survival. What do you hope readers walk away from after getting to know Soma?
I hope they have a fun journey with it. I mean, I hope that I hope it's a fun journey. It's an entertaining journey. I hope it takes you places you didn't think the story was going to go. I think there's an escalation value. I was very much, when I was writing it, thinking about the escalation value. She gets deeper into the darker, seedy side of the city as it goes on, and then also getting something different out of comics. Having this poetry element to it. Just seeing things that are different and seeing that actually the medium can also work with all these other things. I like being surprised by comics. I'm currently reading like Michael Straczynski's Bullet. I can't remember what it's called. Bullet. I actually love Michael Straczynski as well. I just think he's so. What's it called? Bullet Points. It's like a Elseworld, even though it's not because of but it's like an Elseworld thing on like Marvel, where where like the person who created the serum for Captain Rogers, Steve Rogers, gets killed. So Superman, Captain America doesn't exist. So the timeline changes. And it's just when you're reading something and you're just like, oh, this is good. This is interesting.
So
before.
If you want a good read, Aubrey Sitterson's Free Planet.
Oh, okay.
The first
it's on my list.
The first trade paperback just came out for it. I've been collecting the floppies, so I'm just going to roll with the floppies until they do a big omnibus or something. But that book is phenomenal. Like, especially given everything going on in the world currently from all viewpoints, it fits like the mold perfectly. And it's like, you're reading this book and you're like, dude, is he like this is very familiar. Like, this sounds familiar. And then you flip on the news and you're like, fuck. Like, there it is. That's why it's so familiar, because it's something actually happening right now. And you're like, what the hell? But it's a phenomenal book. Aubrey Sitterson is absolutely nailing Free Planet right now. And if you're not reading that, everybody, read Free Planet by Aubrey Sitterson. The trade paperback is out. You will not be disappointed in that book. Sorry about that, Snake. Now continue.
No, it's great. It's actually great to hear because it's on my list of things. I was going to get it next when it was kind of coming out, because I saw it and I thought this looks pretty good. It was like it's Image and stuff, and I love Image anyway and stuff. So I was like, it was on my list, but it's great to hear a recommendation for it.
Dude, it was so good. I think they're on issue 7 right now. And it has just been one of those books where I'm excited when I go to the comic book shop and it's the new releases there for it. And there's not a whole lot of books I could say that about, but well, there is, but there isn't. No, this is this week's pulls. Well, I Hate Fairyland's another one from Scotty Young.
Yeah.
Just a fun story. It doesn't take itself serious. It's just really, really fun. There's Free Planet right there. It come out this week. Cool. And it was issue 7. And then the Absolute Batman, the one-shot Joker come out. There was something else in here that kind of stood out. That's why I'm like looking. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool.
Ani Press, EC Comics with their Shiver suspense stories. If you like anthologies, phenomenal stuff. Geiger, anything from Ghost Machine. I don't know if that's on your list yet.
Okay.
That's it. Crownsville, Rodney Barnes. It's based on a real hospital and the horror stories that came from that hospital.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. And Rodney Barnes, if for those not familiar, he's done Star Wars, he's done some Marvel, but this stuff with horror, some of the best horror comic books you'll read. Like, it's true events, or at least Crownsville is based on true events, and phenomenal stuff.
What's that called again? Just I'm gonna have a look as myself actually.
It's called Crownsville by Rodney Barnes.
Cool.
And I think it's on Bad Idea is the publisher on that one. Let me check. I don't want to give you bad gouge. Ordained that just come out. I read this already. This met all the hype, by the way.
I think it's so, you know, what I'm trying to do with a lot of my comics.
No, Ani Press. Ani Press did it.
So, you know, and what I'm trying to read from writers, and what I try and do is I want to read something that's fun and enjoyable, but also has meaning and some kind of emotional connection to it, to a reader. You know, there's a couple of writers that I read now, and sometimes the comics are a little, I'm not going to mention thingy, but sometimes it's a bit too cerebral and there's just nothing involved. Like, I love how Garth Ennis does that balance of it's both fun, enjoyable, lots of violence, lots of blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Also, it's got meaning to it.
It's not just violence to have violence.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, outside of Preacher was kind of like an exception to the rule. There was some violence in there that was just, especially in the earlier, like the first like 5 or 6 books from the series, it was just like violence just to have violence, but it was character building for the characters who were committing the violent acts. So I guess there was some meaning there, but again, it was just violence to have violence to build a character.
I mean, I always go back to like Sin City. It's really violent, but it's so well told, and it kind of dropped into this world, and it's a violent, horrible, stylized world, and it just works. And it's, you know, before Frank Miller went nuts and like whatever.
He did do that, yeah.
But you know, like, so for me, you know, as a 14-year-old kid, that was what I did growing up. I went to libraries and I read Sin City. I mean, and to me, that's the best adaptation of a comic book ever.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
it just is, you know.
And who was the was it Robert Rodriguez?
It was Rodriguez, Frank Miller, and Tarantino for a small section.
Tarantino, yeah. Tarantino, I think, did just like one scene in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it was like a 15-minute slot that you could technically cut out of the movie, and the movie would still work.
Yeah.
But Tarantino did it for free for Robert Rodriguez. Yeah. And I think he's also a big fan of Frank as well. So that's kind of cool that they were like, hey, Quentin, we'll let you have like 15 minutes of our movie. Do whatever you want, as long as it's based on this. So it's really cool. So what are some of your big influence when you're getting the creative engines going? Like, what do you fuel that creative machine with? Like music? I know you do poetry and you do that kind of stuff. You do stand-up poetry and that kind of stuff. Let's go. What do you got? What's the big influence to get that creative juice flowing?
You know, I mean, I'm an empty vessel, you know, like a jarhead. I'll, you know, films, books. I'm always reading comics as well. So comics are as well, you know, because it is the medium you're making. So it is good to, but then plays as well. So I don't discriminate. I like every medium for what it does and what it gives you. And, you know, they're all stories. So it's interesting. And then, you know, when you come up with an idea and stuff, it's good to kind of dig deep and kind of see what works, what else works in that same vein. If you've got a scene that feels similar to a scene in a film, watch that film and just see how it works, why it's good, why it resonated with you, and why you're thinking about it now. I mean, you know, I make a lot on mood boards, and music's I mean, I can't play instruments or anything to save my life, but I've always got headphones on, you know.
That when I'm because I'm working on a secret project right now, so anytime I'm writing in my notebook,
Cool.
I have music in the background, just writing stuff out. Just like an idea pops in, got to write it down. Idea pops in at work. I keep an email to myself open throughout the day.
Sure.
That way, when the idea hits, I just type it up into this email, and then at the end of the day, I send that email to myself, and then I put it on my my document.
You know, this is a little trick that I do at work as well, because we all got day jobs in it, but I do the exact same thing.
Dude, it's one of the best things you could do to yourself, because you don't want to lose it.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
So email it to yourself. That way it's there. Even if you forget to annotate it later and like move it over to your document that you're working on, or to your board that you're working on. Because I've done that before, and I was like sitting here like typing stuff out and just putting an idea down, and I'm like, I'm missing something. Hop over to my email, like, there it is. That's what I'm missing, and pop it over. But yeah, that's the best way to do it for any creative out there. Keep an email. Like if you're at your 9 to 5 and you're into podcasting it from home, or you're an artist who has, or a writer who has a day job, keep an email open to yourself. And then if something hits you during the day, jot it out real quick. At the end of the day, just hit send. Make sure you hit send at the end of the day. You don't want your computer restarting randomly in the middle of the night and lose everything. I've had that happen more than once.
But I as well, because you know what you're saying about music as well, I also think it's a cheat code. You know, if you have the right music in, obviously it's going to put you in a certain mood. And so you know, you can just get in there quicker when you've got a bit of music playing in the background, the right piece, you know.
Oh, definitely. And I've been listening to songs before where when I was working on a project, and I was like, let me rewind that real quick.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that. Like, I'm like, that was good. Cool. Got it. So, but what's next for Soma and for yourself?
So we're releasing the second issue of the comic on December 18th.
Oh, nice. Just in time for Christmas, man. I like it.
Yeah, it's going to be like $179, so why not? Why not to treat yourselves?
Dude, yeah. Is that the digital version, or is that the paperback?
Yeah, it's just the digital. So with the single issues, they're only being released on Drive-Thru Comics and Comixology or Amazon, whatever you want to say. But then, as I said, once we've finished all the issues and released all the issues digitally and released the episodes all on vertical scrolling comic platforms, around about June time, we'll release a graphic novel of the whole color thing in print.
Full 120 pages, or however many. That's cool. I know there's Lords of the Cosmos, John Lennox. Is it John Lennox? I want to say it's John Lennox. Give me just a second. I don't want to. Ouch. Jason Lennox.
No.
I had a John on just before him, so. But it's Lords of the Cosmos. That's their plan as well. Once the whole series is done, they're going to split it into like basically 2 like omnibuses, I think is what he said. But I always think that's really cool. And even Image is doing it now, and Dark Horse and a bunch of others. Like once the run finishes, or if like once 5 or 6 comic books are done, they take all those comic books and roll them up into a trade paperback. So I always enjoy that, because that's what I've been doing with Geiger. I get the singles and I read the singles, but once they release a hardback or a trade paperback, I like to have that. That way I can just grab the whole thing and read an entire, arc of a story.
Yeah, because you're sort of drip fed, and it's kind of nice to get the monthly, but it's really nice to experience the whole story together.
It really is. And it gives a whole nother vibe to the story, because I can guarantee you there's something you missed or something that didn't make sense at some point in one of those floppy issues, that when you go back and you read the trade paperback or you read the omnibus, that's when like the 2 + 2 = 5 for you. So,
which is why I feel like, the comic medium is so similar, actually, not to films, but actually similar to TV in that sense, because it is episodic.
Yep.
So the same thing happens, when you binge a show. I remember re-binging Breaking Bad, and it was so much better watching it all together.
I did the same thing, and I wanted to. I tried so hard to do that for The Walking Dead,
Okay.
but once Carl was killed off the show, because my favorite arc of The Walking Dead in comic book
Mm.
is Old Man Carl, where is
Yeah.
Carl as the old man telling his grandchildren
Yeah.
about The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And that's how the TV series started, essentially, is this old man Carl arc. And then when they killed him, to me, this is the chairman's opinion, they killed The Walking Dead when they killed Carl. Because the story was literally Carl telling his grandchildren about the events of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, this is what I kept telling to people. So I love the Walking Dead series, the comic series. It took me so long to finish reading it because like it broke my heart.
There's so many arcs.
Yeah, when Laurie gets killed, I was like, I'm out. I was like, I put it down for like a year, and then I went back when I was in Australia and read it. And yeah, I keep telling people, I don't understand how they could have done that because kill Carl, because it's his story in the comic. It's not Rick's, it's actually his, because he's the final character telling his kids the story. So I agree.
It's wild, and it was like once he was gone, to me, it was gone. Like I'm like, I won't pick this up. I mean, I love Daryl. Daryl is a phenomenal character on the show.
Yeah, because he's not even in the comic, is he?
No, he was made for the show, I believe. Yeah, because I don't remember him,
Yeah,
and it's one of those where I'm like, and one of my favorite lines he says is, "Everybody hates rednecks until you need a redneck." But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Old Man Carl, the best thing The Walking Dead had going. And then the only thing they could have done better during that is if he would have been narrating the story, which would have been, I think, dope as hell, because you get narrations from Old Man Carl in the comic book. So, but neither here nor there. I'll
finish off the thing.
No, go ahead.
At the minute as well, what I'm doing as well is I'm writing. Well, I've written actually, and this is like, I've had this story for like 10 years, so I've just gone back to it occasionally every so often and cleaned it back up, and it's just a 2-pager, or it might be a elongated one shot. It's about 49 pages, but it's basically about wolf gods, like epic, like H.P. Lovecraft demons overhead, and it's about fairy tales and knights and things. And I've got a really good artist that I'm enjoying, and he's doing pages at the minute, so that's going to be the next thing I'm going to release.
Okay, cool.
But I think that's going to be,
it's more graphic novel light level once you get past the 32 pages. I think we get into graphic novel territory, and that's cool. I know what's his name? I think his name is, what is his name? That's his book. It just I just
reading pile.
Well, kind of. I got to read in bots actually.
Okay.
Bobby Campbell.
Okay.
He's turning Tales of the Illuminatus into, it's a trilogy book, but he's making it into a comic book. It's very fun, very quirky. But he's also working on a graphic novel right now. So I know like he's taking a break from Tales of the Illuminatus because he was already working on a graphic novel that he wants to finish. So graphic novels are big, and I know he's working on one right now, and he'll be back on the show eventually once that is ready to go. But no, sorry, that was, you mentioned that graphic novel and that stuff popped into my head.
Yeah, I'm working. I work for a private healthcare company at the minute, so I'm earning quite a bit of good money at the minute. So I was just like, I might as well pick up this extra comic and start making that as well. So since I can afford it at the minute, and I've been off this project for ages, so it just makes me happy. Making comics makes me happy. It's great,
dude. And that's the big thing right there, is doing what makes you happy. And this kind of stuff right here is, and getting to talk to writers and artists and bringing their work to people who may not ever get to see their work, especially people like you, because you're in the UK.
Yeah.
So bringing you over to the US audience and introducing you to this side of the pond, so to speak, is one of my favorite things to do. Like Sabe being from Italy and an artist, and bringing his stuff and being like, hey, here's this wonderful artist from Italy whose work is just like absolutely stunning. You know, his character work, the way he brings details to towns and just little things like that, he does so well. It's one of my favorite parts about getting to do this, is introducing, you know, people to new artists, new writers who they will probably would have never seen or heard of. So
cool.
But you got any more conventions this year, or was Thought Bubble the last one for you for the
Last
year?
one, really, yeah. But I am next year. I'm going to plan to. I went to Lakes Festival, which is like a art festival, but it's has comics. I mean, Sean Phillips was there. You know, he's
yeah.
But no, now next year. But I'm probably going to try and go to like 3 next year. I'm going to try and bomb, you know, like even Comic-Con maybe, which is, you know, it's not really a
Comic-Con. Yeah, I know.
Really
They're the same way in the US, man.
Yeah.
They've gone to like anime and like knickknacks, and yeah, it's not about comics anymore, that's for sure. But I was really Thought Bubble, I thought was really cool. And seeing the stuff that Bruno was posting, I thought was really cool. So
you should totally go, man. Yeah, I think you'd love it.
That's a trip across the pond. I mean, I would love to, but God, it's like 8 hours on an airplane.
But hey, the guy on the stall next to me, we became friends and stuff, hanging out. He was a cool dude.
Yeah.
He was from your lot. He was an American, and he come all the way across to you know, sell his comic because he had a graphic novel. And yeah, so it is possible.
No,
but
and you know, I didn't realize Thought Bubble was such a big event over there for artists and writers in the comic world. But there was like huge like celebrities and stuff like that there. I was very impressed with that. I don't know if that's the biggest one y'all do in the UK.
It basically is, yeah.
Okay.
It's basically.
But it was very, very impressive. It was like, the only thing I could think of is like New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con or something like that. That was the level it looked to me. So
I think, you know, San Diego is just, you can't beat that. Do you know what I mean? That's what all of us UK people are like dreaming of. We're like, oh, I'm gonna get over at some point.
But that one is just like, it's like absurd. It's like 4 days now, and it costs you, you know, a mortgage payment to go.
Have you been?
No, because it costs a mortgage payment to go.
Yeah,
that's on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. I mean, I would love to one day.
Yeah.
But right now is not that day. Maybe, you know, in 3 or 4 years, I will hopefully be able to go. But right now, that I could find better ways to spend that money.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool.
So let's look ahead and what's next. I know you got the graphic novel coming. More poetry, or maybe something a little unexpected from you.
I'm always sort of trying to spit some rhymes at open mics around Manchester. I live in Manchester at the minute, so I do that. But I have been working quite heavily on comics. I've got another comic I'm sort of writing at the minute, and I've got my artist prepped, and I know, and he's going to cost me a fortune, but his work looks so good. And it's kind of like an interesting tale about addiction, but black magic, and so that should be
nice.
So I've got all these things queued. I mean, the thing is, right, me as a creator, I don't know about other artists, but, you know, I mean, lettering and publishing comics online, it's good, it's fun, it's nice.
Yeah.
But I'm a writer. I just want to be sitting in a room writing. And the more you get into it, the more you're having to do lots of administration, other stuff. You're having to, you know, post yourself on social media. So when you can get just some time to write, it's amazing. You know, it's a godsend, you know?
Oh, yeah. Have you ever thought about doing like like bunching your poetry into like a not necessarily a book, but like a web series with art. Like taking your poetry and sending it to an artist and be like, hey, can you put art with this? And then putting it on like webtoons or something like that. To me, that would be kind of cool. Oh no, I was just sitting here thinking about that for some reason. That would be cool.
I know. So my friend did something similar to that. He was a photographer and he got writers to write a story set behind his photography.
Oh, that's really cool too. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe maybe I'll do that. That's actually a really good idea. It's just, you know, not enough time in the day, unfortunately.
Yeah. And we got to get at least 8 hours of sleep because we're
otherwise,
I know you're just a few years younger than me, but yeah, that 8 hours of sleep means a lot.
Yeah.
So
these people who can just sleep on no sleep, just get on with their day, no sleep. I'm like, I'm useless otherwise.
Yeah, dude, I just had 2 cups of coffee and I'm still wanting to go back to bed. So for anybody now just hearing about Grinding Against the Marrow for the first time, and you have to sell them the book, give us your sales pitch for Grinding Against the Marrow.
It's Halloween. All the ghouls are out. All the ghouls and goblins, the horrible little kids who are causing chaos, and they're lighting homeless people on fire. And there's also Soma stuck on the street, and she wants to escape this town, but however, she can't allow another person to be lit on fire, one of her homeless brethren. So she steps in and read the comics, see what happens from that. All the pitfalls, all the obstacles. Yeah. But she has one skill that helps her through this. She's really good at parkour and running and free running. So that's the comic.
I like it, dude. Before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find Snake and where they can find your work.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Snake87 SMW. Also Facebook on my normal name, which is Scott Matthew Watson. Yeah, you can find the work on Amazon, on Comixology, and also Drive Through Comics. But then I've also got work on Webtoons, Global Comics, and Tapas as well.
Love to hear it, dude. So what's coming up next for the USDN? I will be back here Monday again. That will go up later today or tomorrow to announce who is going to be on the podcast. But stories like this don't come from comfort. They come from the fractures, and sometimes it takes a creator like Snake to show us there's beauty inside the break. Snake, welcome to the Council of Nerds. And you, sir, and Grinding Against the Marrow are USDN approved. This has been the USDN podcast, and the Council of Nerds is adjourned.
It's a trap!